The radical left tries to build a fantasy world. Antifa threatens Mayor Wheeler. And Joe Biden is the incoherent radical. This is the new Cancel This show. This is Cancel This, episode 12, recorded mid-May 2021. I'm your host, Yo Grabba Gabba. You can like our page on Facebook, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions. Our YouTube channel is Pavement Road Productions, at youtube.com/Pavement Road Productions. And you can subscribe right below on the screen there to get all the updates every single week. It's been about 2 weeks since we recorded. A lot to talk about. Definitely going to dive in here. And be sure to subscribe to anything I said. You can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com as well. pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. So let's start with the first topic I want to talk about today is the liberal fantasy world. So I kind of saw this. It was a kid who was in college, a college student, who got in an argument with their teacher over Skype, or I guess over Zoom, the Zoom class, which, it's got to be the worst way to ever have a class is through Zoom. But, it's so impersonal and all that. I mean, online classes are one thing, but classes that aren't designed to be online, that are being online, just don't work. Obviously, it's recorded, so it's everything's available, and anything anybody does is available. And I'm not for anybody being canceled. I definitely don't want anybody being canceled. Canceling people I think is wrong. Including this liberal professor. Don't cancel them, just reteach them. But at the same time, these are people who are educating our kids. The student got in an argument with the professor over policing in America. And he's saying he did the whole thing about how police are heroes and the first responders and all those things, and how they save lives. And the professor disagreed. The professor said that they take lives. They're not heroes. And he argued, well, what would you do if, what would happen if if somebody was attacking you, somebody tried to hurt you, or somebody robbed you? Would you call the police? And the professor said no. And that's clearly somebody who's never had their life threatened. That's clearly somebody who's never had their house broken into. The professor probably lives in a really nice neighborhood where they have to worry about their house getting broken into, and they have a security system. So they don't need to call the police. The liberal adage is the new thing they're coming up with now is your stuff more valuable than somebody else's life? If somebody break into your house and you're gonna kill them or shoot them and kill them because they're breaking into your house to steal your stuff? Is your stuff worth their life? I would answer that with a question. The person asking me is your stuff worth my life? The person's asking. I would ask them, I don't know, is it worth your life to you? Because there's no consequences. I mean, especially, in these cashless bail in New York State, there's no bail. So you break into somebody's house, you traumatize them, the scars from that trauma may never go away. And they may not take anything from your house. But breaking into your house, they get arrested, they get out on bail the next day, and they do it again to somebody else. And, is their life worth my stuff? Well, if it's worth it to them, I guess it's worth it to me. If they're willing to come into my house knowing I'm armed, or I tell them I'm armed, and they still come into my house, is it worth it? Is it worth taking that chance? Is it worth trying to steal somebody's stuff worth potentially getting shot? That's the fantasy world they live in. The police, we don't want to call the police. We need to defund the police, they say. They say, black and brown people have to worry about any interaction with the police could end them being killed. Well, you know what? The media makes that the case. The media blows up every situation that happens. The odds are you have way better odds of being killed as a white person by the cops than a black person. Fact. You have way more likely odds of dying from just about anything else as a black person than police. Obesity, heart disease, other health issues, cancer. Way more likely to die of that than by the police. But liberals live in a fantasy world. They live in a world where there's no crime. You just get rid of all the police and there's no crime. Really? Because how's it working out in every city you've done that in? Minneapolis. Defunded the police. Crime rate went up. Murders went up a ton. Telling police to back off and not do their job. Not police. How well has that worked out? Not very well. But they don't live in your world. They live in a fantasy world. That's why I think it was Mark Wahlberg said, don't ever trust a celebrity's opinion on politics. They don't live in your world. It's true. They live in their own world. They live in their own little fantasy world. They live in the world where there is no crime and no violence. You know, like the leader of BLM, or one of the leaders of BLM, got a house in a really, really rich neighborhood. 1.1% of the people in that area are black. 1.1%. BLM, Black Lives Matter, right? Why isn't she getting her apartment, her house, in a very black neighborhood? Why doesn't she do that? Maybe because she's afraid. Maybe because there's a high crime rate in those areas by all kinds of people, black, white, and Hispanic. All kinds of high crime. Well, she doesn't want to get her house there, or put her nice house there. Somebody might break into it. Oh, so rules for thee, but not for me. I see. But liberals live in their own little world. They live in their own fantasy world. They would live in a world where, you know, there's no need for police, because the police, they have an interaction with a black man. The black man gets killed every single time. That's very untrue, by the way. And granted, I know the situation is a little different, but I had an interaction with a police officer a couple weeks ago, and I was new to an area. I wasn't really sure what was going on. I was actually, I had an interaction with him, and I was very polite and respectful, and everything went smoothly. There was no issues. And they asked me questions. I didn't get confrontation. I said, "Yep, I know what happened. This is what's going on," and they were very nice, very polite. I had somebody break into a location I was working at, and the police were asking me all kinds of questions. I provided them what I could, but I didn't get nervous. I didn't get confrontational. I just answered the question, and they're asking why things were done a certain way, and I answered the best of my ability. Maybe it wasn't the right answer, but I was nice about it. I didn't get an argument with them. I know it's different because I'm a white guy. I get it. But race shouldn't matter. It should just very much be act polite, be a nice person, stay calm. But the media says if you're a minority and you interact with the police, you're going to die. Well, that's not true. That's very, 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 very low of that happening. Actually, does it happen? Yes, but it's not as often as they make it sound. Put it this way: if they reported every time a white person got shot by the cops, that's all they would report, because it's not news. They only report news when it's news, when it doesn't happen often. Something happens every single day. Do they report all the shootings in Chicago? No, because they happen every single day. But they don't live in your world. They live in their own little fantasy. They want to create a world where there are no problems, where the only problem, and minorities have the same outcomes as everyone else. And that's their option. It's a possibility, but you can't put it this way. I'll just end this section with this: the radical left wants to make your mother a liar. You know, when you're growing up, your mom said life's not fair. They want your mom to be a liar. They want life to be completely fair. And guess what? Starting off, not everything's fair. You know, being able-bodied, guess what? If I was a 6'7" basketball player or football player, my life may be significantly easier than it is right now. But it's not. So I just have to play with the hand that's dealt. How they want to talk all this radical policy, everything, all this equity and having the same outcome. That's what they're all. Kamala Harris is all about the same outcome, same outcome. Anything that doesn't end in the same outcome is racist or is bad. If somebody two people start at the same position, I saw a great meme. It was of a black man who was a lawyer, a black man who was a bailiff, and a black man who was charged with a crime. And the defendant was in court, and the bailiff was there, and the lawyer was there. Three men, all black with three different life choices. There has to be the ability to people make mistakes and have choices, and then there's forgiveness. But ultimately, everything's not going to end up the same. It never will. So you want to talk all this equity and everybody ending up in the same spot. Start wherever, however you start. Doesn't matter your choices. Doesn't matter anything like that. You end up in the same spot. Well, that's not very realistic. Because let me ask you this: I work just as hard as LeBron James at what I do. LeBron James is a great basketball player. He works just as hard as he does at what he does. So, but he has a lot more money than me. So how come you're not taking his money and giving it to me then? I guess in taxes maybe a little bit. But trust me, he has way more money than everybody else. Way more money than a lot of people. So, how come I don't have that? How come I don't have that equity? How come we started in different spots and we started in the same spot because we both were born in America? But he became a multi-millionaire, maybe even a billionaire by the time he's all done. And I'm, not. How come? According to liberals, we should end up in the same spot. That's their fantasy world they want to create. And it's so funny, that cop who made that TikTok video making fun of LeBron, he got suspended, now he's just got his job back, and they raised $500,000, I think it was? About $500,000 for him. He's going to give that money to police officers who are put in the same situation where they're suspended for for whatever, or if something happens to them where they get injured and they can't work and their families are taken care of. So it's a cool foundation they started. But yeah, people, LeBron James, he's a great basketball player, so he can tell us how to live our lives, right? It's just silly. But that's the fantasy world, and if that's the world they want to create, where everybody ends up in the same exact spot, everybody has the same income, same outcome, same input, same output, same result, same input, same result. Well, then I want LeBron James' money. I want some of it. Give me a whole bunch of it, because you know what? If choices or how you're born or anything like that don't matter, it's just same outcome, then just because he was born a talented basketball player and born, big dude with huge muscles, well, then I want that. I want to be Dwayne Johnson. How come I can't be him? How come I can't have his money? See, it only works when there's people that it only works the woke way, right? This is cancel this, the show that fights back against the woke, annoys the woke folk and fights back against the cancel culture. And this show's been canceled once already. But we're going to keep going. We're going to keep fighting. Flying the pace of the cancel culture. Screw the cancel culture. They can't shut us up. But that's the world they live in, where everybody ends up the same, no matter what. If somebody ends up with more than somebody else, it's unfair. And you know what? Life isn't fair. Because you can't regulate everything. Some people are going to be better at certain things than others. I have some skills that I think are really awesome. But if I can't market them or I can't get anything out of them, oh well, that's on me. Get a better skill, Democrats, liberals always say, learn to code. Learn to code. Joe Biden was saying that. If you can, work out of a coal mine, you can learn to code. All right. Well, if you know what, when you cancel their pipeline job, maybe that's what they'll do, because they all lost their pipeline job because Joe Biden canceled it. But that, again, that's government interference. If let people if let the market just take care of itself, it'll work its way out. We have to save the planet. Meanwhile, China's building coal mines right now. They're drilling for fossil fuels right now. But we have to, be green. Save the planet that China's destroying. So let's talk about Antifa. that idea known as Antifa. It's funny because when Ted Wheeler, the mayor of Portland, when Portland was burning, when they first started rioting, and they were protesting, he came out in the streets and he was talking to them and he goes, "Hey, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm woke too. I believe in what you're fighting for, and we're gonna do this together." Blah blah blah. And they booed him off stage and called him racist, of course. Well, now when the rioting didn't stop, he gave them everything they wanted. He told the police to back off. He gave the mouse the cookie, and they wanted a glass of milk. Who could have seen that coming, you idiot? So he told the police to back off, told them let them have their space, told them let them riot. Now there was a video that just came out a couple weeks ago of somebody wearing a mask threatening Ted Wheeler. Because around the first of the year, around New Year's, and when Biden inaugurated and everything like that, they were still rioting. They were still chanting that they didn't want Biden and whatever. They don't care who wins the election. They just want to tear stuff down. And they excuse to tear stuff down and burn stuff. They will do that. So Ted Wheeler said we need to arrest these people now. Oh, all of a sudden. It's funny because when Trump was president, you didn't want anybody. You wanted them just to be able to do whatever they want to do. Now Biden's president because Biden looked bad, and he wants to change that. So now he wants he wants citizens, if they can, to get the license plate number of people who are driving the cars of the rioters. People, Antifa members. And if somebody's wearing a mask or a face, wearing all black and a black mask and everything to go riot, to try to get a picture of them. Or write down the license plate number so we can get them arrested. Oh, I thought the police were bad. What happened to that? Ted? So you let them do what they wanted, let them burn the place down, let them destroy everything they wanted to destroy, let them loot and riot, let them go because somebody got shot by the police, again in Minneapolis, again, police officer, this one was the police officer who thought she was grabbing her taser, allegedly, and shot the 20-year-old to death. It seemed pretty like it was a mistake. Obviously, person's soul shouldn't be dead, and there still should be an investigation and all those things, and possible criminal charges for the cop, all those things, absolutely. But immediately people went to the nearest Walmart and looted the shoes out of the Walmart. It seems like just an excuse at this point, right? Seems like just an excuse. Somebody gets shot by the police, we have to go burn stuff down and loot and riot. Because why not? Nothing else to do. Sounds good. That'll be fun. Gotta shut that down. And Ted Wheeler let it go on for 8 months. Or more. And all of a sudden he wanted to stop it, and it was too late. Because they already caused all this damage, and then they threatened him. They threatened his house. They found out where he lived. They went to his house and threatened him. And then he's like, oh, no, we have to stop this. We can't riot and loot anymore. Well, you pretend to be one of them. You're trying to be one of them and say it's okay to do all these things, but then they come after you, and now it's not okay anymore. And they put out a video threatening Ted Wheeler, threatening his life. And now he wants to stop them. He isn't down with them anymore because he realized that they're psychos. You don't negotiate with terrorists, Joe Biden. So they threatened him, and he wants to fight back. He wants them to be prosecuted. Blah blah blah. It would have been really nice if he did that 6 months ago, though. It would have been really, really nice. Hopefully he learned a valuable lesson. Hopefully all the idiots around that area learned a valuable lesson. Hopefully all the mayors and governors who are telling the police to stand down and just let them have their way and let them riot and let them do what they need to do. Yeah, because when you let it happen once, guess what? It happens every single time. Every single time there's a police involved shooting. Especially if a white police officer with a black individual. Black shooting victim. There's riots every time. Why? Because you let it happen. You shut that down, it doesn't happen again. Speaking of not negotiating with terrorists, Joe Biden, let's talk about the most incoherent radical, right? Joe Biden, radical as they come, tending not to be, but he's incoherent and he's a radical. He's destroying the country, he's a radical, and he's incoherent. So when a suspected terrorist group of Russians hacked the pipeline, so they creating a gas shortage up and down the eastern seaboard, starting the Carolinas, with ransomware, Joe Biden said, "Oh, it's up to the private industry if they want to pay the ransom." Oh, or is it just that you're a coward, Joe Biden? You're a coward. You won't negotiate with them. You don't negotiate with terrorists. You say up to them. Would President Trump have allowed that shit to happen? Of course not. He would shut that down immediately. But you know, it's Joe Biden. He's frail and weak. Weak is a key word. He's weak. So, Joe Biden, he was asked about the shooting in Minneapolis with the recent one with Dante Wright and the police officer Potter. And he was just finishing up a press conference. He said, I'll have to get back to you on that. AKA, I need to go home or go back to the office, have somebody write up a speech so I can give a speech. I'm not just going to speak off the cuff because I'm going to say something stupid. Because I'm too dumb to do that. I'm too old and stupid. Is what he's saying. Like, I guess he heard about the malware attack that happened on Friday. They told him on Saturday. Like, he must have been sleeping or something when the malware attack happened. And they waited the next day to tell him, hey, by the way, Joe, where are you getting your coffee? Just so you know. It was a malware attack. Oh, cool, thank you. Awesome. No, Joe, it's a bad thing. Oh! Okay. He's getting people killed. He's costing lives, costing jobs. It's funny, I really wonder if he even has Benjamin Netanyahu's phone number. Apparently he does, because he called him when all the Middle Eastern, when the Gaza, again, more violence in the Middle East. It's funny, because there hasn't been violence in the Middle East in like 4 years. Roughly. There was 4 peace agreements with Israel and other countries. And Trump got 9 different Nobel Peace Prizes for it. And as soon as he's out of office, Biden literally calls just about every other world leader other than the leader of Israel to talk to him about what's going on in the world and say, hey, I'm here for you, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't say anything. He hadn't had a conversation with Netanyahu in about 7 weeks after becoming president. He talked to Iran before then. He talked to China before then. He talked to Russia before then. Talked to just about every other country. Enemies of the U.S., by the way. Iran. He wants to give them boatloads of cash and a nuclear weapon. But we'll talk to Benjamin Netanyahu and the leader of Israel. He has no idea what he's doing. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he just. I mean, I tend to believe Biden's not evil. I tend to believe he's just old and senile to know what he's doing, and too dumb to understand what he's doing, and too old. I really think that's what it is. I choose to believe that he's just too stupid to run the country. So let's see. We've got a border crisis that Joe Biden created. He says we inherited a mess. No, you did not inherit a mess. You created a mess because you want to do it a different way, and you didn't want to give Trump any credit. Biden's entire presidency is to eliminate what Trump did, even the stuff that worked. So he created a border crisis because he wanted to change the way it was being done, do the quote-unquote humane way. Dude, it's funny. Trump's humane way took a lot longer. Trump's way took a lot longer because they actually vetted the people before they sent the kids to them. Now, ICE is saying that they're not going to be able to vet everybody who they send these immigrants to. Somebody claiming to be their father, they'll do a quick background check, make sure they have no criminal activity, no criminal record, and that's it. Okay, cool. Who cares if it's your actual father? We don't know. Doesn't matter. Who cares if the uncle living next in the spare room is a pedophile and a gang member? Don't have time to check all that. It's too many people. Too many coming in. Can't worry about that. So the border crisis continues to be a disaster. Kamala Harris, who's tasked, quote-unquote, with fixing it, hasn't been down the border. Just chuckles like the Joker about, oh, I'm not going down there today. I I've been down there before, and I'm going down. Sure, I'll be down there again, though. Yeah. Okay. Look at all the people who are. There's people dying in the desert, being thrown over the wall. All these people are getting killed. All you can do is laugh. Sick. So you have the border crisis, economic crisis. So there's more jobs than people want to work because the unemployment rate, they're getting so much money for working for unemployment. And it's funny because the minimum wage jobs are the ones that are getting killed. The high paying jobs, people are still never left those. Some did, most of them were able to work from home or whatever. So the people who are unemployment, they would be stupid to go back to work. Because if you're making $300 a week minimum wage, because it's a minimum wage job, it's not supposed to pay you for everything. Why would you, when you can make $700 by staying home doing nothing, you can make $300 by going to work? Why would you go to work? Stay home and make $700 to do nothing. Makes way more sense. That's what I would do. Why go work, make $300 a week minimum wage when you can make $700 a week on unemployment, doing nothing? So the argument, of course, is always made is raise the minimum wage to what? $30 an hour, $40 an hour, $50 an hour. The more you raise the rates, the more everything costs. So then you have to raise it again because things keep costing more because the cost to make it goes up. So the price goes up and it never ends. Well, pay people a living wage, or people who want to have more just work 2 jobs. If you can't make enough on your one minimum wage job, get a second minimum wage job. Or advance through the company to become a manager and make more money. Or be there long enough to get a raise, let's say. But I have 3 kids at home. Okay, that's what the government's for, is to help take care of your kids. Not so you can go spend your money at the bar. Not so you can go buy a steak dinner. So Erie County's health director has pulled in, I think he said, $100,000 already in overtime alone this year so far. Pulled in over $200,000 last year. Health director in overtime, just overtime. So COVID, we still have the COVID going on. It's still a threat. It's also the vaccinations going on, everything like that. So hopefully there's some positive stuff coming down. But I was trying to go to a ball game here in my hometown. We don't usually have Major League Sports baseball, at least in my hometown, and now we have the option to to go to a ball game, and I'm looking forward to it. But they are saying, get this, segregation. They're going to have a section in the stadium for people who are vaccinated, and a section of the stadium for people who aren't vaccinated. You'll be able to wave to people across the hall. What if you go to somebody who's vaccinated and you're not? Or you're vaccinated and they're not. How does that work? Do they say you must be separated? We're going to put a wall down the middle of the stadium. You sit on one side, they sit on the other side. You can look over the wall and wave. Maybe we'll call it, Berlin or something. I don't know. Something. But yeah, segregation, isn't that cool? It's funny because segregation is now happening everywhere now. Like I said, they're having different races are having their own graduations at Columbia. Like, it's really funny. All we had to do, all the Democrats had to do, the segregationist Democrats, all they had to do is say, hey, let's do it in the name of equity. Let's just say that. Why don't you be the one who segregates yourself? Then we can keep segregation. But yes, to go to these games, they're going to have sections vaccinated, non-vaccinated. Why don't we just go beyond that too? Why don't we go with colored and women and man and straight and gay? They all have their own section, so they can't interact with each other. I know COVID's a little different, but again, people who are afraid should stay home. They should. People who are afraid of COVID should stay home. If you want to get vaccinated. Absolutely do it. If you don't want to get vaccinated, I guess that's your choice. But I think at the end of the day, my body, my choice should apply to more than just abortions. That's all I'm going to say on that, because I don't want the YouTube monster coming after me again. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. We try to get these shows out once a week. There's been some snafus with scheduling and that kind of stuff, so we haven't been able to get them out as often as we like. We'll try to get them out once a week. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything when we do get them out. You can email the show directly at pavementroadproductions@gmail.com, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/pavementroadproductions. You can also, like I said, subscribe, like our Facebook page, email the show, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com, and tell your friends and share the post. Definitely be back with more in the next few weeks. Try to get this out, like I said, once a week if possible, if not more than that. As always, thank you for listening. Until next time, bye then!